There's two camps of thought. One is you learn to love yourself through relationships. And then there's another school of thought, which no, you have to love yourself, you have to feel completely whole on your own, and then you can co-create and build a healthy relationship with someone else.
I'm here with Jillian Turecki, certified relationship coach and author of It Begins With You. Thank you so much for being here. I feel like I know you because you're in my phone and in my bed first thing in the morning. I'm really thrilled to meet you, and I love how you just sort of give it to us straight. You have lived the life as the child of a therapist, and you've gone through your set of heartbreaks, and you have all this wonderful wisdom, but you do it in this way that is not sort of therapist speaky, which I really, really appreciate. I want to start with the title of your book, and it's so kind of, grabby, but give me a little bit about how you came to that title.
Yeah, so I was thinking what would be like anywhere between like 3 and 10 things that I really wanted to leave people with. Like, what are the most profound lessons that I've ever learned about love and relationships that, I learned later in life, and I learned through working with people and through my own life. And when I was writing down those truths, like the one that was really like where it had to begin with us, like it begins with you. So I say that all of our relationships, we are the common denominator in all our relationships. But that doesn't mean that you're just the problem. It could be who you're choosing. It could be that you are the problem. It could be just the patterns that you have. And so It Begins With You is really meant to actually empower the person to understand that there are so few things that we have agency over, and so few things that we have control over in life. But you do have control over your story, or how you interpret your story, how you tell your story. You don't have control over the things that happen to you. But you do have control over your choices, and you do have more control over the quality of your life, specifically your love life and your relationship or your relationship life, than you could ever imagine.
You are also rooted in a somatic, yogic, informed backgrounds. Traditional talk therapy, while it works for some, I think for others we realize how much we keep in our body and how many stories our bodies have to tell us. Talk to me a little bit about how you've sort of put those things together.
I think ever since I was a young child, I loved to move, I loved to dance. And I think that what is true for anyone who sort of discovers yoga is they're sort of searching for something. And I think ultimately what someone is searching for is to feel better. We're all in a constant pursuit of pleasure, happiness, meaning, everything to like feel better. I knew that what would make me feel better is to feel more integrated in my body. And I couldn't touch my toes, even though I worked out a lot. And my boyfriend at the time was like, that's pathetic, you need to try yoga. Everyone's doing yoga now, it's their age, whatever. So I was like, okay. And I tried it, and it was literally like the clouds opened up, and I was like, this is what I am meant to do. And I healed a lot doing yoga. I mean, I didn't even realize it, but I was healing my nervous system. I was feeling integrated. Not only that, but I had meaning in my life. I didn't know, I was one of those people, I went away to college, but no one told me it was okay to not know what you wanted to do with your life at 21 years old. And I was expected to know what I want or to go corporate. And I felt incredibly lost. And when I found yoga, I felt recovered from that.
What sort of inspired you? There was sort of a pivotal moment, obviously, that was the inspiration of the book. The end of your marriage.
Yeah.
How is that sort of the kicking off point for this sort of journey of sort of self-discovery and the understanding that it all starts with you, not that it's all your fault, but you actually do have control over keeping your own side of the street clean?
I met the guy who made me laugh, and we got along really well, and I say that, our relationship up until we got married, 90% great, 10% really problematic. Now you could say, well, no relationship is perfect, which is true, but the 10% that was problematic was very substantial and very profound. But I ignored it because I just suppressed it. I didn't even think that this is something you can't ignore. Maybe I felt it somewhere in my body, but I completely suppressed it. And so when we got married, people think, oh, we'll get married, everything will be better. No, it does the opposite. So that when you get married, the 10% became the 90%. and then 90% became the 10%. And there was, it was like all our childhood stuff was coming up, all these fears were coming up. And it was only lasted 2 years, and it was very, very difficult. And the greatest, to talk about, it was like a slap in the face to wake me up. And the way that he ended it was terrible. He did it over the phone, over a text. That morning, I'd woken up to a miscarriage, which he was aware of. My mom was dying of lung cancer. So that was the moment my entire world completely fell apart. It was surreal. I remember thinking to myself, this is what it's like to live, for everything to fall apart. And I felt I was desperate. I said to myself, I need to figure out why I'm in this position. And then that led me to, I need to figure out what the hell it takes to make a relationship work. And I've been obsessed with that for the last almost 11 years of my life.
What do you think is the number one thing that people get wrong about romantic relationships again and again? What's the refrain?
That there is no the one, that there's no one who exists on the planet to fulfill you, to give your life meaning, to make you happy, and to meet all your needs all the time.
Amen. Another sort of through line that I hear in your work is you have to love yourself before getting into a relationship. Talk to us a little bit about that and how.
Yeah, okay, well, let me add a little something to that.
Yeah.
There's two camps of thought. One is you learn to love yourself through relationships, which I agree with. So you don't have to love yourself in order to be in a relationship. And then there's another school of thought, which no, you have to love yourself, you have to feel completely whole on your own, and then you can co-create and build a healthy relationship with someone else. I believe that there's a spectrum and there's nuance, and it's somewhere in the middle. We're social beings. We can't even discover a sense of self without interacting with others, because everyone is showing up a mirror. However, if your self-esteem is in the dumps, and you can't stand yourself, you better believe you got to work on that if you want to be in a good relationship. So it's really both. And I think that self-worth and self-love is hugely important for a relationship. Whether you're learning about it while you're in a relationship, whether you're working on yourself before the relationship, how you feel about yourself is huge. Because it determines how well you're going to be able to show up for someone else. It determines how much you're going to be able to receive someone's love. It determines how well you're going to choose someone who actually respects you, values you. Because if you can't value yourself, it's probable that it's going to be difficult for you to see someone valuable as valuing you, if that makes sense.
Which leads me to the next question. Why do you think so many women stay in less than ideal relationships and convince themselves it can get better?
So women overall, and I would say just like the feminine overall, tends to place connection and love. They value it a little bit more than men do, typically. It's not that men don't value love, but women, especially of a certain age, they want to connect. They want to love and be loved and to feel cherished. And they tend to value that more than they do their independence and their freedom. And so the loss of love for a woman, for anyone, is intense. But for a woman, there's a little added there. Now, you can call it biology, you can call it sociology, you can call it nature or nurture. Also, there's some social conditioning of what we're supposed to be. We can. That could be a whole separate conversation. But the reality is that women tend to place togetherness and connection. They place it higher up in the hierarchy of their value system. And so they will stay too long so that they can prevent the loss of connection, even if it's with the wrong person.
You talk a lot about the importance of play.
Yeah.
I want to hear you talk about that. It's very lost in our culture. We get very serious about things, and the sort of the serendipity, even the neuroplasticity, the ability to kind of shake things up that comes through with play. I'd love to hear your take on that.
There's so many different ways that I can discuss this. So a lot of times when I'm working, let's say, with an individual, and they're so bogged down with working on themselves, I put that in big air quotes, so bogged down in working on themselves, I have to remind them that perhaps the greatest work for them is to learn how to let go and to allow themselves some play so that they can express who they are unburdened by all the weight of the expectations on their shoulders from society. And so play, I think, is when we really emerge as sort of like our true selves, and we're fun, and we're not, all these rules and all these shoulds and all these expectations. In a relationship, it's so important because play is very bonding. Play is very fun. And play is like whimsical. I always say, there's childish and then there's childlike. And a little bit of childlike is actually what adds magic to our lives, and childish is what we kind of don't want to be in a relationship with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. You write that we need to forget happiness and focus on purpose, which I love. Why is this a crucial step in our evolution?
Happiness is sort of a silly pursuit because, feelings are like weather. We're happy, we're sad, we feel this, we feel that. If we were happy all the time, we wouldn't actually feel happy because we wouldn't be able to compare it to dark moments. And happy is, what does that even mean, right? It's just we're meant to experience lots of different states. And also you can't be happy all the time. It's not possible. But if you pursue meaning or purpose, even if you're going through a particularly hard time, even if you're going through a depression, if you have something in your life that gives you a sense of purpose and meaning, you may not be happy, but it keeps you going. It gives you a reason to live. And I don't mean just to live literally, but just to actually engage in the world.
And I think we're sort of at a kind of critical inflection point where at least, people who reach their 40s and 50s and realize, okay, I've been career building or whatever it is. I've been career building, I've been building a family, whatever that might be. And that you get to this point and you're like, okay, now what? Especially as industries implode and, people age out and all of this kind of stuff. And it's sort of like, well, who am I?
Yes.
Without these sort of markers of
100%.
Success and happiness. And that's where sort of, the who am I and turning inward and really the focus of your book, it's, starts with you, comes in. What if you were to leave us with one sort of like one truism from your book, like this one nugget, what would it be?
The relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have. And when you deepen it and when you strengthen it, whatever that looks like for you, maybe it looks like more play, maybe it looks like some sort of spirituality, maybe it means giving back to community. When you strengthen your relationship with yourself, your relationships around you strengthen as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.